Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today, I've got a new mate on with me. She's a social media mate, and I'm really happy to have you on. So thank you for being here, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Have you done a podcast before?
Never
Not a podcast?
ever. I went on the radio once.
Go on then.
When I was like 17. So I did media.
How old are you now?
I'm 20.
Dude, okay. Yeah,
So this was only like 3 years ago.
yeah.
Simple maths. So I did media at school, and I was a bit of a geek with it. Loved it. Went above and beyond, like A stars. It was the one good thing I was good at. So
Okay.
just kept at it. Anyway.
Were you A-star in everything else, or was it media was your...
Media, that was it.
Amazing.
That was it. That was the thing that I excelled in. Hence why I did it at uni. Anyway.
Okay.
Ashbourne Radio wanted like some students to go on. I think it was aimed at younger students, but my media teacher caught wind of it, and she found it, and she was like, "You need to come and do this." Then I applied for it, went on. We did like, I think it was only an hour and a half radio show. But
That's a long time, isn't it?
It sort of is, to be fair, to say
yeah.
you've never done it.
You're playing tracks in between.
Yeah. So there was a guy in there as well. He was like doing the tracks, but I was
Beautiful.
like, all right, next up we've got, oh my God.
Is that your radio voice?
That's it, yeah, do you like it?
Can I just hear Ed Sheeran, The Shape of You? It's going to be played next. What does that sound like?
What, me doing that?
Yeah, okay.
Oh my God. Oh, all right, guys, next up, we've got Ed Sheeran, Shape of You.
Oh! I'll be tuning in every week. Week in, week out, baby. That was awesome. Really cool. So, you had that experience. What did you feel after? Were you
I was buzzing.
elated?
Yeah, I was elated. I was just about to say that, actually. Yeah, it was so good. So good.
What,
I don't know why I didn't pursue it.
Friends and family listening in?
Yeah, so I was like, Grandma, you've got to listen. Dad, like everyone, they were all listening. I was like, so what did you think? They went, to be honest, Cait, you sounded natural at it. Like, you sounded really good. I was like, there we go. And I'm quite mad at myself for not taking it further, because I was sort of natural to it.
Do you think there's a chance of that happening though? You would like to pursue it or go further?
I would like to, but I just don't know how to get into it.
Well, it's, let's say, podcast wise, and you wanted to play in between a track. My partner Chrissy, she's
Yeah.
doing a podcast later, but it's a
Okay.
new one called Made It.
Right.
And she's really artsy and craftsy.
Yeah.
But then she gets a lot of the time musicians in, and in between we hear 3 questions and then a track.
Yeah.
And 3 questions and a track. So sort of, she's made a pirate radio show for herself.
That's so good.
So with the technology now, the
Yeah.
possibilities, Spotify, iTunes, you can do what you like. So if you did make a podcast, say, do you
Yeah.
know what you direct it towards? How long you'd want it to be? Where you'd aim it at?
I think if I was to do a podcast, it'd be sort of similar to what you do. You know, like different people on, like different... I don't know, I've got so much to say. It's ridiculous. I don't
I can
think
feel it bursting out of you.
Yeah, I
It
couldn't
feels
restrict
nice.
myself to one area. It'd just be like different people, different topics, that sort of thing.
And you really doing this. It's lovely because social media gets quite a bad rep.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Oh, everyone uses it for vanity, for superficialness, whatever it is. But why don't we just use it to our advantage?
Exactly.
And for me, I've just been going down it now, whereas before I would have been just scrolling.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my new video. I didn't likes yet.
Yeah.
Nobody likes me. Whatever I get from it. But now it goes, I put out a piece of content, hopefully it does well, but I don't get too consumed in it.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's all spent sort of scouting out people that I like, I want to connect with, cool chicks. But
just reaching out, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and meeting people and
Yeah.
getting on a genuine level, genuine connection, and having
Yeah.
conversation. And the amount I've learned just doing this, it's so priceless. You can't get
Exactly.
that anywhere else. And I feel the art of conversation, obviously we're in a COVID world, but it's missing so much now.
Yeah.
And connection. I think podcasts are going to skyrocket. I know they're doing a lot now.
Oh my God, podcasts, like they've
But
gone up in the world, haven't they, recently?
Bringing people together, and on the
Yeah.
opposite side of it, some people just want escapism and just
Yeah.
want to listen and feel understood or relaxed or have a friend there.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan is my background noise. Where's Mikey? Oh, Joe's over there. That means Mike is with him.
Exactly. No, I'm with you. I think that's another thing as well with social media, like in a COVID world. people are compensating so much more on social media, if you know what I mean. You know, because they're not getting that physical human interaction. I've noticed, like, friends that had maybe upload on Instagram once a month so often are uploading every single day, doing that ask me a question thing on Instagram, this and the other, really trying to like reach out to people on social media. And I think there's like advantages and disadvantages to that. They're getting very consumed by it, but like we said, they're also connecting and reaching out.
That's why I really like you, and when we spoke, and I'll get into that story, but you're so nuanced. You've got the grey area of everything covered. You don't just go, oh, it's black, or oh, it's white.
Yeah.
This is how I feel, and let's explore it.
Yeah,
and it takes some wisdom and knowledge to be able to do that, because most people just want to have a thought and go, that's what it is.
That's my opinion. That's it. That's all that matters.
And just having opinions. I listened to a podcast recently, and that's even meta-programmed a part of me, because I did have a strong held opinions.
Yeah.
And I think he was the CEO of Whole Foods.
Okay.
Really cool guy.
Yeah.
Older guy and quite wise guy, matured in his age. And he just said, wear your opinions like your clothes. You know, you do have some clothes you keep going towards and you like and you keep putting on. But if they get old and outdated, change them. Get new ones in.
Yeah,
and also, when you're wearing them, know they're not attached to you and they can always come off. And when you're talking to people, respect their clothes and what they're about. It was a beautiful way of feeling and thinking. And how you put yourself across in our phone call and how you are, I get that vibe from you.
You know what? I sort of get that from my dad a little bit. So my dad, right, is an atheist.
Okay.
He doesn't believe in God. He's like, nah, I'm not. It doesn't exist. Like evolution, all that sort of thing. And he is very set in that stance. But then he's like, I don't know what... I'm going to have to go into it now. My dad had a motorbike accident 5 years ago and he had like a brain injury from it as well. He's got like short-term memory damage and all this sort of thing. But I've noticed a change in him since then. He's not so black and white anymore. If I want to have this opinion, I've got to back it up and understand both sides to make an informed, educated opinion, if that makes sense. So he's an atheist. I don't believe in God, blah, 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 blah. But for him to say that, he's listened to an audiobook of the Bible and stuff like that.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, I don't believe in it. So we can understand it. Do you know what I mean? And be educated in saying that.
And it's what makes science stronger in our scientific discoveries. It tries to prove itself wrong to prove itself right.
He's read both sides of it to then make his own opinion instead of just assuming.
And sometimes what science can do is try and prove itself wrong. And then it accidentally discovers, that there's something in this.
Exactly.
We might not be right in our previous discoveries. And then you can start aligning yourself differently and being open to everything.
Exactly.
We'll jump in that then, because when I saw you on Instagram and you're posting up stuff and you're always on my feed.
Always there.
I see different feeds from females.
Okay, yeah.
And I did put a post out saying I think I need a little bit more estrogen in the room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of testosterone on this podcast. I'm 53 and I reckon I've had 6 girls on it. It's imbalanced.
Very male dominated.
That seems to be my friendship circles and
you can't help that.
What I know, and my friends have just asked to come on. I've said yes, and then as I've seen it occurring, there was more males. I thought, hang on a minute, Mikey, check yourself here. You need different voices. So I was looking for females out, put a shout out on, but going through your posts, I just thought you look really happy, really bubbly, really friendly, and just somebody I think I'd get on well with. A nice heart to you.
It's nice that you got that vibe.
I really did. And I looked down and just checked you out, and I thought I'll ping a message and see what the best outcome would be. And then you give me a number because you wanted to actually give me a bit of background and talk to me.
An actual phone call, because messaging's completely different to like how we are now.
And that sparked alarms. I thought that's good alarms, like the sirens. Oh, somebody actually wants to talk. So when you come on a podcast, I'm sure you're going to be comfortable in that. It made sense. So then we're on this phone call, and what I didn't really expect to unfurl or unravel was such a dark history or, you know, such a journey that you've been on. And we were on the phone for 45 minutes.
First conversation we ever had.
And it was genuinely really refreshing, really beautiful. And I was struck by your openness and honesty. It was incredible to hear. Are you comfortable in all situations, settings, podcasts, whatever, to talk about that and go in?
Yeah, completely.
The reason I thought of getting you on after that more so was how you spoke really speaks to me. And I think is, in this time, the most vital conversations to be having.
Yeah.
people that are lost, hurt, in pain and looking for something.
Yeah.
So could you go into your background a bit?
Yeah, of course. It's quite funny though, because people always say to me, "You're so open, like you're almost too open." I'm like, I'm just being honest.
Do a lot of people struggle with that?
Yeah,
Do
an
they?
awful lot of people. Oh, why did you need to say that? Oh, it's just awkward now you said that. And it's like, well, no, it's the truth. It's what happened. So, yeah, I'll start. Kate's life story. I won't go on for 10
Shall
years.
I put some music in the background?
Yeah, I know. Like on SpongeBob when you get the 10 years later thing.
I had South Park in my head. So I love that our brains connect on something.
So I don't want to say too much because I've got brothers and sisters and things like that, and it is like personal family life. Do you know what I mean? You do want to be respectful in the same breath. However, so I've got a big brother and a big sister, and they're from my mum. And they've got a different dad, and then my mum and dad were together. And when my mum had me, she was 36, I believe, and my mum suffered from bipolar disorder.
Right.
So you obviously know what that is, talking about mental health and stuff. She was either like depressed or manic.
Is there different levels of bipolar? Because
I think
I've heard of it and I've got an idea about it, but the sort of stuff you were experiencing.
So as a kid, obviously I was a kid, so I didn't really comprehend whether it was like really bad or like if she managed it okay. But as a kid, I just remember that every so often my mum used to go in the hospital for 2 months, 3 months, a month, being sectioned.
Right.
So yeah, it's when she was struggling and she used to get sectioned, and because when my parents split up, they split up when I was a baby. My dad then lived in Mansfield and my mum in Burton upon Trent still. That's where I was born. And that's where my brother and sister were. That's where I went to school. So when my mum was sectioned, I'd be staying between my brother and sister's houses because they were a lot older than me. Then I'd be going to my dad's on the weekend. And I was just sort of like living out of a bag as a kid.
Can I ask as well, what were you being told in them times then? Did you understand what was happening? Or
I understood, but I didn't, if that makes sense. When I used to say to my mum, because I could visit my mum in the hospital when she was sectioned.
Right.
There was like a visitor room, and it was horrible. It was like dark, dingy. Do you know what? It's just not nice.
Clinical vibe.
Exactly. And I used to go and I'd be like, "Mum, why are you in the hospital again?" And she was like, "It's the chemicals in my brain. They're just like going crazy again, and I just need to be in here until it's sorted out." And I was like, "Right, okay." And then that's all that used to get said to me. My mum used to go, "It's the chemicals in my brain." I was like, "Oh, right, okay." So I just knew that she wasn't very well. So I was sort of all over the place, and it got to the stage where my mum really wasn't handling things. My dad used to be quite concerned about me as a kid, because it used to be like, "What do you want to do when you grow up, Cait?" "I want to be a nurse so I can look after my mummy." Things like that. And he was like, "That's great, but I don't want you to live just to serve your mum. You need to be your own person, have your own aspirations," things like that. So and I was always very nervous. I always used to have tummy ache as a kid. When I look back, that was clearly anxiety. I was always worried. I'd be out having a nice time and I'd start feeling sad about my mum, worried about her because she was on her own at home or in the hospital, something like that. And it got to the point that Mum was being sectioned quite often, and it was just disrupting my life completely. So my dad was like, right, he got full custody of me, and it was probably the best thing for me. And in terms of timing, it was really good. So this was 2010, so I was 9, not turned 10 yet. And it was around February, my dad got full custody of me. He went to go live with my dad, who was with my grandma and granddad on the farm in Derbyshire, hence why I'm in these areas now.
Oh, nostalgia.
Yeah. So I moved in with my dad and got settled there, and Mum was sectioned, and my sister noticed that her skin was like a yellowy colour. My mum's skin was like a yellowy colour.
Right. Okay.
Something wasn't right. She was losing a lot of weight while she was in. So they went to the doctor in the mental hospital, you need to get her checked. And they found out that my mum had pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
But they caught it a bit late. So it was terminal. So she was diagnosed in the March and she died in the July.
Okay.
So it was good in a way because she wasn't suffering for long. But it's still not nice to have your mum die like that.
Of course.
But the only thing that I'm grateful for is that my dad already had full custody of me. So it wasn't like my mum had died, I've suddenly got this disruption. I was already settled with my dad, if you know what I mean. And I remember there was one point when we were told that Mum had a week left to live. And I was outside playing in the garden. And my brother was like, "Cait, you do know what's been said, don't you? You need to understand Mum's not going to be here, looking out for me." And I was like, yeah, fine. I just took it all on the chin.
Really?
And then when she did die, my dad told me in my grandma's garden, like, okay, your mum's died. I was like, okay. Like,
Wow.
it didn't hit me until like 3 years later.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you sort of repressed it, or
Yeah.
completely put it down?
I didn't want to be sad and put it on other people.
Right. I get you.
I didn't want to be one of those sad people.
Yeah.
It didn't
yeah.
really hit till I like hit puberty. You got all these emotions and hormones and shit like that. And then that's when I started with my mental health. I don't know if you want to add anything before we go on to that or anything.
Definitely. I mean, it sounds like you had a really quite wise and strong dad in these times who
Yeah, completely.
was very open, very
Yeah.
honest with you,
Yeah.
and give you a lot of wisdom for a young person as well.
Yeah.
To be filled with at that age, usually
Completely.
in a stereotypical or archetypal family
Yeah.
life, you're just playing and not
Yeah.
thinking of existential questioning or anything past that.
Yeah.
But you at such a young age has been given all these things to consider and all these truths of life, which
Yeah.
you should really be picking up in your 20s,
Yeah.
fumbling about with, and when you get into your 30s, 40s, okay, I'm getting it now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm maturing. Now you've just been thrown into the deep end.
It's like feeling sick with anxiety as a 6-year-old. Like, it's weird. That doesn't hit some people till they're in their teenage years, like adulthood. And I do want to add as well, because I feel like I've not said it. Like, my mum was such a good mum, brilliant. Her main priorities was like me, my brother, my sister, like their kids. She loved us wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I
She
was gonna
couldn't
get
help
into that.
Yeah, she couldn't help that she was ill.
Yeah.
And she used to upset herself, I think, and make herself a little bit worse because she used to put so much blame on herself.
Do you think an element, just as a thought, did that make her really ill and actually physically ill? Do you know all the stress and
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it
cortisol,
was.
I think toxins come through stress.
Yeah, guilty
and worry and
Yeah.
and people have this pain, and we do,
Yeah.
and our bodies are trying to tell us something. So when we're constantly thinking of the next thing or
Yeah.
rushing around and panicking and angry in particular,
Yeah.
when we're going through all that, our bodies are saying slow down, slow down. But because we've not been taught in education, in
Exactly.
schools, how to
Yeah.
manage these thoughts, we're focused on totally other things.
Yeah.
That she really struggled with that, and inevitably or eventually she got really ill from it.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, so what was she like when she wasn't going through these episodes then? What can you remember that experience?
You know what? I find it really hard because it all just sort of blurs into one.
Yeah.
Like, I can't separate when she was healthy from when she was ill, because to me everything was fine, then suddenly she'd be being sectioned. So I never really, but I just know she was a Christian lady, which is quite funny because of what I said about my dad being an atheist
Interesting.
earlier.
Yeah. I like connecting the stars.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't have a lot of money, but she'd give anyone a last pound.
I get you.
We always had people around.
So really altruistic.
Yeah,
and
looking
loving.
after everybody. Like, our house was the house to go to. My friends would come round. Like, just the biggest heart. And if anything, she like cared too much to the point where people would walk all over her, that sort of thing. But I mean, I was 10 when she died, and I'm 21 this time round. And this year I keep thinking that's nearly like more than half my life I've lived without her. That's crazy.
Wow.
But I am finding that I'm forgetting stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't remember a lot anymore.
And are some of them memories, again, repressed, or you tried to turn them off, or just through time
I
you
tried
just...
to remember, but I think
Really?
it's just
Okay.
through time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you just have so much other shit going on, don't you? Like, and I know that sounds really horrible, like, you forget your mum and things like that, but you just can't help it. It's as time passes, like I said, it's like more than half my life without her now.
That's true, yeah.
When you think about it. And how many people can remember everything from the ages of 0 to 10? Like, do you know what I mean?
Do you think, because you're really wise, and honestly, if you'd have seen me at 20, 21, it's not this guy here in the chair today. It's an absolute bumbling mess.
I'd have loved to have met him.
I talk a lot on the podcast, and what very much grounded me was travelling, seeing different ways of being.
Yeah.
I've got a cool family,
Yeah.
but my mum's of a very assertive nature, quite a
Yeah.
strong character, a little bit scary, to be honest. So
Yeah, you could feel a bit repressed by that, maybe.
totally.
Yeah.
And when I went to school, I was really nervous by
Yeah.
all the authoritative figures.
Yeah.
And I just played up, acted around it, I told you on the phone, I ended up going to my nan's.
Yeah.
Where I was a nan kid, so I was fed like Kinder eggs, Marmite sandwiches, played Xbox, I had a belt. Bears.
They're the best, aren't they?
And inevitably with that too, I got really fat.
Yeah.
So then I had a fear-based living as a child. But then going into school and then being horrendously bullied,
Yeah.
it was of sadness, of pain, of fear, and all these emotions.
Very extreme emotions as well, yeah.
And just a concoction of it. And I just thought, what is the point? So, again, like you've been given existential thinking of that course of what life you've led and where you've been on and made to think of the bigger pictures.
Yeah.
At a really young age, truthfully, too, I had to think of these things.
Yeah.
I thought of these things, but I never. With school, I got kicked out. I was really naughty.
Ya?
Yeah, I was a naughty kid. I'm never nasty.
I don't know why I'm smiling.
I've
It's
never
just 'cause
been
I'm looking at
nasty,
you now,
but it's the throwing stuff around. I'm not going to participate in that.
Yeah.
Teachers not knowing how to deal with me, so I was thought of as stupid or couldn't conduct myself. I'm not that person. I'm quite bright, really, when I want to be.
That's the thing, though. Sorry to interrupt you,
That's
but
fine.
if someone is acting that way, it's for a reason. I think teachers are so quick to think, oh, they're just attention seeking, they're being a little shit.
Some teachers.
But there's actually so much behind it. You've got to unpack it. It's like that Coca-Cola bottle metaphor. Have you heard it?
No,
when it's
please.
like, you know, when you get a bottle of Coke that you're not opened yet, you shake it, take the lid off, and it's like,
yeah.
It's like that. You don't know until you open it.
Exactly. I love that
And
metaphor.
all this
That's
stuff
a
comes
great
out.
analogy.
Yeah, call me Zach.
Good old Zach Purdy. I knew he'd get a mention. Love you, mate. But again, another one for me is how I try and approach people now. Anyone I meet, however they're being to me, I love looking at them and thinking, oh, it's a baby.
Yeah.
It used to be a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was a computer. And everyone started adding into this conscious computer. And sometimes it gets viruses.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets really good information put in there and it works well. But you've got to just respect it as, oh, that used to be a little baby. Let's think about what it's been on.
Exactly.
So for me, I did play up. I wasn't guided. I didn't have many mentors in my life. And it was till I was 20 and I went away to fend for myself, really. Went to Australia, South Africa.
Really?
Just, I needed to get out of here.
Yeah.
I hated my existence
Yeah.
so much that I thought, right, I'm the sort of person, whatever's happening here, I'm an extremist. So I'll go over here. I'll just do this, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I do it by its fullest.
Yeah.
I think we connected on that too.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, though. That is a good mechanism. Obviously, you don't want to, not run away all the time, but what a great experience for you, though.
Time,
yeah,
and
exactly.
it definitely gave me a bit of gain. And then when I was there, I was seeing how different cultures worked, how different people live. And when I thought there was this one way of living, my mum wanted me to go out there, see how hard people have it, then come back, right, I'm lucky here, But actually what happened was, oh, there's infinite possibilities of ways of living. There's infinite possibilities of being.
Yeah.
It's not just this one vision I've been shown. You go to school, you go to uni, you get a job, you sometimes hate this job, but you've got to put up with it, and then you get to 60 and you die.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound a fun game to play.
Completely
And this
not.
is a
I'm with
game
ya.
to me now. This is a play, and I want to make the main role as fun as it can be.
Yeah, I love that.
You've got to dance with it. But that wisdom came much later on, really, after everything.
Yeah.
Thought differently, outcast by friends, 22 to 20... I'm 28 now. No, 27. But in that time, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Now, you've had that now earlier on, and you've got this comfortability in self.
I mean, I'm still far from where I do want to be with the whole travelling aspect. I want to do that because, like what you just said, I've gone to school, I've gone to uni, and the idea of me looking back at my life in 10 years' time, and straight from uni I get a job and then I get a husband and then I have kids, that idea makes me feel sick. I'm like, I followed the traditional route now, I finished uni this year, then it's my time to explore. Like I'm planning on going to Australia, actually.
Really?
Yeah, end of next year.
The thing with you, though, because of this story you've had, you're very aware of self.
Yeah.
And as long as you're self-aware, here's another Zach quote that I like, but it's as if you're aware, you can overcome.
Exactly.
So however you're feeling in your life, whatever because life isn't all sunshine and rainbows.
No,
There's
really
going to be
not.
discomfort there, but when you're aware, you can make it work to your fitting.
It's what you make it. Life is literally what you make it. As cliche as that sounds, yeah, it's so true.
It's there can be affirmations thrown around that I've done on my wall before. Honestly, you should have seen my bedroom. This big hippie bedroom.
Yeah.
Nice pictures all over the shot. What's the thing that hangs behind your bed? Where the dream catcher.
Oh my God, really?
I had a nice dream catcher up, and then I had all
You little
affirmations
hippie.
and quotes all over the place.
Little hippie.
But I wasn't living them either. I wasn't.
They were just there for decoration.
Yeah, exactly. And a feel good maybe.
Yeah.
But now when I try and look at a quote or look at an affirmation,
You try and take it in.
I really want to live it and
I'm the
embody
same.
it. It's important
I am
because you
the
do hear
same.
people just spouting them out now, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
So we'll go back a little bit in, and then we'll go to
Yeah.
your travelling and where the hell you want to go, and I'll give
God
you some
knows.
advice. I'll be
Exactly, yeah.
a travel agent.
Guru.
But so your mum died,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're living with your dad.
Yeah, my
And-
dad,
and
my
you-
grandma, and my granddad.
Cool existence.
Yeah,
huh?
on the farm, life on the farm.
Dude.
It really was the one. And yeah, so the darkness is what I call it, not as in the band. But
So
like
you've got phases in your life.
yeah, like the dark times. They come when I was around when I started secondary school, year 8. I went to Belper school.
Then. Okay.
And I was
Non-school uniform. School,
non-school
innit?
uniform. That played a part in it.
The cool one.
That played a part in it.
Okay.
And I was surrounded by these girls my age that were like wearing makeup, had boyfriends, this, that, and the other, and I was very tomboyish.
Right.
Because I mean, I went to go live with my dad when I was 10.
Yeah.
I was out on the pit bike around the fields, like milking the cows. Do you know what I mean? Living my best life. And then I was in this situation where there was these girls and they were really pretty.
Yeah.
And I found them intimidating. And then I was comparing myself. I don't look like them. I'll never be like that. Oh, it's like you start getting feelings for boys, things like that. Oh, that boy's interested in them, but they're not interested in me. What's wrong with me? And all these different emotions that were quite overpowering. Like I said about my mum, like didn't really hit till I hit puberty and your hormones are going mad. I miss my mum. I really wish I could have a chat with my mum. And my dad had met my stepmum by this point. And my stepmum's lovely. Get on with her really well. And I was a little bitch to her
Really?
when I was like 11, 12 because she did everything for me and she loved me. But I think I was just a little bit like, you're not my mum. Do you know what I mean? And then I'd resent myself for like letting her in.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'd feel bad on my mum for letting her in. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Oh, totally.
And then I was always into like my rock music, things like that. And there was like a group at school that listened to it. And everyone was like, oh, I'm so depressed. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of like grubby.
Were you rebelling at stages?
I was
and-
never rebellious,
Okay.
you know. I was like, always did as I was told by my dad, always did well at school. But I was just, had a lot of like in-depth emotions. And all these people, I'm so depressed, this, that, and the other. I'm going to do this. And self-harm was big.
Came into...
It was big. And
Really?
yeah.
And this is year 8?
This is around 2012, 2013.
Right.
I
How
think.
old are you at this
I
point?
was like 12, 13. Because you go by the year, that's how old I am.
Okay.
2012, I was 12. It's 2013, I was 13, yeah. So I was only like 12, 13, still a kid, basically.
Yeah.
And I was friends with these older people. Everyone's listening to rock music. Oh, my life's so shit. And then that sort of impacted on me. And I was missing my mum. And I was feeling like intimidated by girls at school. And I had a lot of these emotions. And instead of expressing how I felt to my dad, like I'd always done, I was trying to copy these people around me.
Right.
And I'd heard about someone self-harming. Oh, it just makes me feel so much better. It's like a release.
Ooh.
I was like,
Was that a female? Or...
yeah. Yeah. And then there was this one day when I'd had a really shit day. But I think a lot of it was self-inflicted when I look back. I had a shit day because I wanted to have a shit day. It was almost like an attention-seeking thing. And I self-harmed. And I just used to do it. Like, I just used to self-harm. And I think it was a little cry out for help.
Yeah.
Because when you got scars on your arm that
Yeah.
people can see, people, oh, what have you done?
And would you maybe like leave a sleeve up or something?
Exactly.
Just, I
And-
wonder if anyone cares or
and-
if anyone will see.
And this is the thing. I was feeling like shit, but I wasn't telling anybody. And then I started to have a bit of a shit relationship with my dad and stepmom because I was feeling like shit, not telling them, but I expected them to know. So they'd be like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah. And they'd be like, what's wrong? Nothing. But I'd expect them to know and want to like keep asking, and then I'd let everything out, but I never did. And I hid a lot from them.
People struggle to be able to know where to stand with that and how to position themselves. So help can't really be given.
Yeah.
But you're really seeking it at that time.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad noticed that I was a bit off it, so he spoke to school and was like, right, Cait lost her mum a couple of years ago. It's probably something to do with that, and like counselling, that sort of thing. So I had counselling at school, and it relatively helped. So my dad knew there was something up. But,
can I ask what sort of things they were giving you in counselling?
So it was, is it CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so coping mechanisms and things like
that's more sort of, you're dealing with something, here's some mechanisms to deal with it.
So when this emotion is triggered, you can do this, and this is how to deal with it.
So it's quite practical.
And I was doing it, but I didn't really want to be there.
Whereas there's other therapy that goes more into the psyche and gets you to root it. This is what I'm going to
get onto.
Okay,
yeah, completely. Wicked. So I did this CBT and I was doing counselling and stuff. I was feeling like shit, self-harming, and I really do look back, I think it was all just like an attention-seeking sort of thing, but I was feeling really, really down. Didn't want to be here, and I think it was just because of my environment, like my school environment. I was missing my mum. There was all these girls who were really bitchy at Belford, very bitchy school, and I just...
Would there be a lot of bullying?
Yeah.
Is this where...
Oh, God, yeah.
I want you to get into your story. You talk about comparison and looking to compare. Was it because there was a certain want and people to act in a certain way and be a certain way and look a certain way?
Yeah, so I wasn't bullied or anything, but you'd have the girls that were all very slim and very pretty. They knew how to do their makeup, and I didn't know how to do that. And when you put on like your puppy fat, don't you, when you're going through puberty, things like that. And I was in that stage, and I was really hating myself, but blaming it on them, if that makes sense. I feel like shit because of you guys, and I pushed myself out of groups.
Okay.
Because I excluded myself.
Yeah.
When I look back, I think, what was I thinking? I was just literally on this spiral of isolating myself from everybody. And if I'd have just said to my dad, like, I'm feeling like this, can we get me some proper help or whatever? Things would have stopped being so shit. But I was excluding myself. I was self-harming. I wanted to be that depressed person, if that makes sense.
It's fascinating, and
I wanted to be that person.
Yeah, I totally, I get that, and I'm empathic towards that, because I've been that, so I totally get you.
You look back now and you're like, oh.
Well, I think you've got to go through it.
Yeah.
You've got to try all mechanisms and ways of being and all the emotions, and suddenly you realise, oh, that before was so wrong and really didn't work.
Exactly.
Maybe I can ask for help. Maybe that's showing strength was when you ask for help and you're saying I'm feeling a certain way and opening up to people.
Exactly.
But you don't know it until you've tried the other.
I've
got a daughter now, beautiful baby daughter, and she's amazing.
I've seen pictures. She's gorgeous.
Oh, she has lovely eyes, you know, her mum's eyes. So I just thought, if you were in that playground now with the consciousness you've got now, and she was in there and going through that, would you have good advice for her?
It's very generic. It's what you see all over social media at the minute. But it's comparing yourself to other people and other people's family lives.
I love cliche or generic messages.
When you genuinely apply it.
When understood. And that's why conversations are so important, because we do flippantly see things being said or spouted out, or even just a status slap and it's gone in the ether then and gone. But really true with authoritative and genuine belief in it, it can be a powerful thing, and that's why cliches exist.
Yeah, exactly. The thing for me is I was comparing people's family lives. Their mum and dad are still together. Their mum's still alive. They look like that. They're so much better than me. And instead of maybe using those people to my own, like... growing and using them as like a coping mechanism, I resented them because I wanted that. And it was like, fuck you. And like, you've got everything that I want.
I spoke about it this morning, but that be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
Including that in your life as a young person, but... seeing an outside world and looking in the exterior realm of what realities you're seeing, just clocking inside and working on self and thinking about what you really want. Are you sharing pictures because it is fulfilling you and it is validating you and it makes you feel good and you're tracking it, or are you sharing them because it's what you're supposed to do and what people want to see? This
reminds me of something actually a little bit off topic. I remember a few months ago, I went round to my grandma's for a cup of tea. And she was like, Cait, I need a word with you. I was like, what? What's wrong? She was like, your photos on Instagram. I was like, what do you mean my photos on Instagram? She was like, you post yourself an awful lot. Are you all right? What's going on? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, it just seems that maybe you're trying to compensate for something by posting yourself on Instagram. And this is the way that I see it. This is how I use my social media. I said, look, I use my social media. I took that selfie because I thought I looked good that day. I thought, yes, Cait, you look fit today. Let's document that. Yeah. So I took that selfie and I posted it because I wanted to share it with the world.
Love it.
That photo of my outfit, I was vibing with my outfit that day. Took me ages to pick out, tried it on, thought, looking mint. Took a picture, posted it. I do it because I love myself. I want to put myself out there in that way. I'm not doing it saying, please like me, praise me, this, that and the other.
I think this is great. What we've already discussed, though, it's amazing that you've got in your life people that are willing to question, and then, like your dad does, is understand the other side, and it either makes your argument better, and you go, no, I want to do this because, and then it strengthens why you do it.
Exactly.
So you're thoughtful of it, and if you're aware of it and thoughtful of it, and know it does suit you,
and you're being genuine,
you do it. You go with it.
And getting back to me feeling like with the whole self-harm, like depressed teenager sort of thing, the turning point for me as well was when my dad found out I self-harmed.
Right.
Just getting back to that, change the subject quickly.
That's how this podcast is.
Yeah, I'd gone to my big sister's one weekend, and my sister seen all the scars and stuff on me and the cuts and whatnot. And every time my dad had questioned it, I was like, nah, I fell over.
Right.
I'd done this, I'd done that. And I think my dad just wanted to believe it. So he was like, right, okay, never questioned it.
Yeah.
And then my sister was like, I think it's obvious Cait's been self-harming, rang my dad. My dad was distraught, crying his eyes out.
Really?
He felt like he'd done something wrong for me to feel like that. And that broke me because my dad has been the one strong person all my life. He's always been there. He's always been like that figure that I can always rely. Yeah, exactly. Everything that a fatherly figure should be plus more, that is my dad.
And then having to incorporate the motherly side.
Yeah,
that you've not been given.
Exactly. And my stepmom's mint as well. And it's just seeing how much it hurt them. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? So I moved school.
Right.
I moved to Anthony Gell in Wirksworth. Don't
know it. No, never
that's
heard
it.
of
That's
it.
another non-uniform school, but it's got like 1,000 less students than Belper.
Good.
They're all like farm kids, down to earth, this, that, and the other. And I had my shit there. Don't get me wrong.
Sounds healthy though.
It was healthy. It was like new beginnings. Do you know what I mean? So I moved schools, surrounded by different people, and I did dickhead things when I was at Anthony Gell as well, like ways to fit in. Do you know what I mean? Like I was very good when I was younger of genuinely being friends with someone, but then someone cooler had come along, so then I'd adapt to how the cooler person was and neglect that original friend. I'll fully admit that I was a shit friend when I was younger, because I was always looking for what else can I be, how can I be more popular, because I never had that at Belper. So when I had the chance for it, Anthony Gell, yeah, this is my time to shine. I'm the main character. That's how I used to be, and I was a bit, but I learned from that, and it gave me confidence and it gave me growth, and that was like the sort of turning point with it for me, like moving school and all that sort of thing.
So that was the turning point of out of the dark.
Yeah, I mean, I still had my dark moments, don't get me wrong, but that took me out of that situation. Like you did when you went travelling, you was feeling like shit, you took yourself out of that situation and put yourself in another
refreshed
one.
And renewed.
Exactly, and my dad did that by moving me school.
I think that's what people don't realise they've got the ability to do in any moment. You know, if we're living in discomfort and just walking on this path with a stone in our shoe,
you can change it.
It's so easy to just stop, grab the shoe, tip it upside down and go again.
Yeah.
Or buy a whole new set of shoes.
Exactly.
It's really possible and really easy. Just people don't have that belief or understanding how possible it is.
Yeah.
So again, just I'll let you get back in your story, but why it's so vital, these conversations being had, to hear the truths and the honesties. And I'm sure if a young person's looking at this and is a young mini Mikey or mini Caitlin, and go, I'm feeling this way, it's possible.
I can relate to
it's
that.
possible. They can relate to it, and also you're at that other stage now where they can see, oh, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, there is something for me. So beautiful to hear.
Exactly, yeah. So I moved school and I was at Anthony Gell and I was doing really well. Like I had my friends doing better like in all my lessons, because when I was at Belper it's predicted like C's and D's in all my GCSEs. Not that GCSEs, yeah, and it's C's and D's in my GCSEs.
I love it.
And then when I moved, this doesn't rhyme as much. I was predicted A's and B's in my GCSEs.
Yeah, that'll do.
So there's progress academically as well as emotionally. I forgot I was going with this now. I got too distracted with the rhyme.
Yeah, sorry. I took you on a creative journey, babe. I mean, that makes total sense too. I've seen a statistic recently on COVID. You know, there's a lot working from home now.
Yeah.
And it exposes how bad bullying could have been in schools, because a lot of the students that would have been heavily bullied at school and were predicted to do very poorly have actually not been into school, and they're predicted huge grades and huge shifts. So
yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, what you just said then resembled. I thought, that makes a lot of sense. You've changed your circumstances, you've changed your positioning in life, and all areas of your life have started to excel.
Exactly. So yeah, I was at jail, like started doing a lot better, really got myself in a good place.
Yeah.
And then 5 years ago, at the start of year 11, my dad had a motorbike accident. So...
Caitlin, come on, man.
The thing is though, these bad things have happened to my parents, not to me.
Yeah.
So then I always feel guilty. I'm acting like I've had such a hard life, but it's my mum that's died. It's my dad that had the accident, not me.
They're big figures in our life, though, and they're very much they're the sculptures of who you are. These are big elements in it, and your mum's got a chisel, dad's got a chisel, and one of them's had to put it down really early, and one's overcompensating and putting in the work, and then suddenly that's been taken away. So it is important. It is, who you become. And listening to you now, talking to you, I feel we're going to be friends after this. I can really feel it. But it is just very intriguing to hear where you've been on and how somebody so cool, so friendly, so strong can thrive from what you've been through. So go into that. And that sounds heart-wrenching, really.
Start of my GCSEs, and it was September time. My little brother was 3 weeks old. So my dad and stepmother had a kid, 3 weeks old, and this happened. And he had a motorbike accident, and he had to have his leg amputated.
Were you at school?
So it was a Sunday. So you know how there's quite a big bike scene in Derbyshire, like MCCs, all that sort of thing. We'd been at a rally.
Right.
We'd gone in the car, and Dad had gone on his bike.
Right.
And it was quite funny because I said to my dad, it was not funny.
I know what you said. No, I know exactly what you said. It was a right hoot.
It was hilarious. But I said to my dad, can I go on the bike with you? And he was like, no, I want to ride on my own, which basically means I want to go really fast. And not worry anyone. So anyway, we'd been at this rally, coming back, we was in the car. Dad was like, I'll meet you back home in an hour. I'm going to go for a ride. Yeah, sure. We were at home. Police car pulls up on the drive.
Oh, man.
It's like something you'd see out of a film.
Man.
I was upstairs playing my ukulele, because I play ukulele. I was singing the song, like practicing.
Wow.
And then my stepmom was like, Cait, you need to come downstairs now. I was like, oh, God, she wants me to watch my brother while she goes and does her horses or something like that. And there was these police officers, and I was like, fuck, okay.
Did you know straight away what was cracking?
I thought maybe he'd broke his leg.
Yeah.
Or his wrist.
Yeah.
Also, I was like, it'll be fine. Like, it's nothing major. It's my dad. My dad's this indestructible person. He was the stable one throughout everything that happened with my mum. Nothing bad can happen to my dad. That was my mentality.
Of course.
And then we got to the hospital. He was at QMC. And he had to get airlifted. That's how bad it was, yeah. And QMC's got the helipad. And we found out that he had broke both of his wrists, punctured lung, bleed on the brain, broke his femur. Got to the point he's had to have his leg amputated.
Wow.
I know. And that sort of rebellious...
Do you know anything that happened? Was it a turn? Was it a
right,
collision?
yeah. So, do you know the Wirksworth Road where Croot's Farm Shop is?
Fairly well, yeah.
Yeah, so he was like coming round there and a car was doing a turn in the road on the corner.
Yeah.
So as my dad's coming round, this car's going like up, straight in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it.
And when like that police officer said all those things to me, it was like, okay, that sort of rebellious nature that I had when I was like self-harming and things like that, all those emotions came back after I'd healed. And I was like, not I don't care, but at school I had that I don't care mentality. Like, I don't give a fuck, like, about school, like, this is going on at home. Do you know what I mean? I was just acting like a bit of an arsehole when I went back to school. But anyway, my dad was only in hospital for 3 weeks, you know.
After losing a leg.
Yeah.
After bleed on the brain.
Yeah, this is the man that he is, and this is a lot of why I am how I am now. I'll go on to tell you.
Tenacious and wild.
Yeah, honestly. So, he was in hospital, and obviously they fixed him, but it wasn't nice at the time. But there was as soon as they checked his brain when he got to the hospital, they were like, he's going to be all right. Like, it's just ribs and wrists and legs and things now. His brain isn't as bad. He's got a slight brain damage, like I mentioned earlier, but it's only really noticeable if you live with him. He gets a little bit forgetful. But
is that all it shows?
Anyway. Yeah. And I've noticed he's a lot more intellectual. Like I said earlier, he's into his reading and understanding both sides, and a lot more opinionated and political and academic.
Wow.
And he would never seem to be that way before.
You hear this with brain trauma.
Yeah.
It's true. I've been watching a documentary on it, but people that have had brain trauma and come back with languages and start playing piano.
Wasn't there a woman that woke up and started speaking French or something like that? She didn't
I've read that
I
recently. It is fascinating how the brain
is a powerful thing.
Is wired and actually already programmed to function in certain ways. Yeah. I suppose as we grow, we find passions and we find things where our brains align, but it seems to be able to completely shift and twist when it's had trauma or been through something. So that's
crazy,
dude. I don't want to do a podcast on the brain because I will struggle.
Be here for, honestly. It's so complex. So complex.
I think we know 5% of it. That's what I've been told by a neuroscientist, apparently.
Jesus Christ, no, that's just like, it's making me question everything already. But like my dad overcome that. He come back home and he was going for rehab for his leg, and one of my teachers had actually said to him, I'm a bit concerned about Cait. She's acting like she doesn't care. It's a GCSEs, this, that and the other. And my dad sat me down and he was like, come on, like, you're better than this. If I can get over this, you can get over whatever you're feeling. And because the accident wasn't my dad's fault, he got like payout, this, that, and the other, but I'm not going to get into that because that's up to my dad to disclose. Of course. But he had like certain things that he could ask for. So he asked for me and my stepmom to have counselling.
Okay.
And the counselling I'd had before was at school or is it at the doctor's. It was free. But I got counselling with it was like £70 an hour, like this therapist. And everything I'd ever done before, CBT, this, that and the other, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm not interested, doesn't work, don't like it. I went to this woman, she's called Abby, absolutely amazing. She's in Belper, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and I told her everything like I've just told you, and she got me into mindfulness.
Okay.
And that was the consistent turning point.
Straight from the off? Was it a first session, or how many sessions you had with Abby?
I had maybe 6 or 7 sessions with her, and she was going on about mindfulness, this, that and the other, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
What was the first approach by Abby? Was she just getting to know you?
She was just getting to know me. This sort of feels like a bit similar to the counselling session I had with Foundation. I was just telling her everything so she could sort of weigh up what she could do to help me. And she was like, well, it sounds like when something like this happens, it triggers a certain emotion in you. And I was like, please don't say like the cognitive behavioural therapy because I've been there, done that, don't like it. Yeah. And she was like, well, that's helpful because she says we're not going to cross that route, we've got this instead. And she's going on about mindfulness, like it's about knocking all these things out of your mind, like just focusing on one thing, being in the moment. And I was like, oh god, you know,
come on, Abby.
Come on, Abby, what are you on about? £70 an hour for this?
Get out of here.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I think it was my second or third session, she was like, we're going to try some mindfulness. I was like, so she gave me a bit of an orange and a bit of a tangfastic, and she goes, put this tangfastic in your mouth, suck on it, close your eyes, just focus on the tangfastic, the taste, everything about it. So I did it and I was like, god, this doesn't even taste nice. You know, tangfastic, like you're just shoving it in your mouth, it tastes all right, but when you're like sucking it all up, you're like, no, not nice. And then she got me to try the orange. And then she was like, okay, do the same with the orange. She was like, how much nicer is the orange than the tangfastic is when you're just thinking about it? It's all you're thinking about, the taste of it, the texture, how it makes you feel, how it feels on your tongue, this, that and the other. And I was like, whoa, I've never thought about this. And it just sort of opened up a new way of thinking for me.
Did that feel a real epiphany drop moment in that taste test?
Yeah.
You thought, hang on a minute.
Because
what have I missed out on here?
Everyone goes on about like different methods and coping mechanisms, but I'm what's it called when you have to like learn through doing?
Oh, I know the words. Let's say a doer.
Yeah, a doer.
I learned through a doer.
Yeah, do you know what I mean though? Like,
I'll think of it halfway through and I go,
yeah, it's all right, like going on about something. Oh yeah, this is dead great. You do this, that, and the other. But like, I don't really change until I've tried it. And then that was the turning point for me, and I really got into mindfulness, and that's how I am now. Like,
was she putting you on a path of books and podcasts
not
and
so much.
audio?
She was.
Or?
How like when I told you on the phone the other day, like I'm into mindfulness and meditation, you were like, "What have you read?" I was like, "Nothing." Like, I do it to suit my own needs, if that makes sense.
I'm
on my own terms.
Learner as you, though. I'm a learner as a doer.
Yeah, completely.
Come on, that word. Where are you?
Yeah, I know. What is it?
No, we'll be stuck in a vortex.
Yeah, honestly, we'll be here 4 hours later.
Could you imagine a podcast of just pure silence until that word gets brought out?
You know what? We're going to finish the podcast and then I'll be like, that's it.
Don't worry. After every podcast, I put a cheeky little snippet and edit in, so I'll find that word and it'll just bang it on there.
I love that.
I don't read much. I
No.
don't learn through reading, really. I've tried, I push my brain.
Yeah.
It might be my dyslexia, I don't know what it is, but I can read a page.
Yeah.
And then go, what have I just read?
Yeah, yeah.
I have to go back through it and back through it and back through it. And
Do you find that your dyslexia, like, gives you boundaries to, like, what you can and can't learn and take on and things like that? Like, is it become a obstacle?
I suppose what I try and do is find positive in anything that you may have been given as a predisposition.
Yeah.
So the way I used to see it was, I'm hindered in writing, in spelling, in punctuation. Yeah. But the way I try and see it now is, I'm really creative by accident.
Yeah.
And when I've wrote a sentence down and the words are a bit jumbled, it sometimes makes a really interesting sentence that you wouldn't have thought about before.
Yeah.
And if I can give myself time and space and think about it, I can use the jumbled up words and make a better sentence.
That's amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
Such a good mindset about it.
And I do that with anything. If
it
you've
empowers
got
you.
Bipolar, Asperger's, autism. I've got so many friends with so many labelments.
Yeah.
But all of them that I talk to have seemed to come up with this, I see the world in this different way.
Yeah.
Or I see things differently. And I try and utilise that.
It's almost like a power.
Yes, yes.
I'm unique. I'm different to everybody else. This is my power to see things in a different light and understand different concepts.
X-Men.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm here for that.
So that's what works for me. And I must say, with the mindfulness thing that you approached on then, I boo-booed it at the start and thought, hippie, spiritual
here
nonsense.
We go again, yeah.
But it was another thing that I did while I was travelling, and I think it came on a podcast, and it was somebody I actually respected, though, in this podcast. So where I've heard it before, it has been of that hippie, you know what you get in stereotype, that I couldn't really connect with or understand.
Yeah.
But as soon as it was a health and fitness podcast and a guy, Ben Coomber, was talking about it with somebody on there, I thought about considering it.
This hits so many levels.
So I thought it was somebody I resemble with, it's somebody I work with, I'm going to see what it's about. So I went down that avenue and I went down that path and everything changed for me then, really. And I heard you talking on mindfulness on the phone, and I just thought, I wonder where she's discovered it from. And I love the fact that we're similar place, though, really. We got given it in a time of need.
Exactly.
And then used it for ourselves.
So I was a little bit hit and miss with it when I was doing it with Abby. Like, I did it when I was having my sessions with her. It helped me. But the most important thing that helped me get out of that dark place again the second time around was my dad himself. Because he lost his leg. He had to have a prosthetic. Like, his whole life changed, and he was getting up, going rock climbing, climbing up Snowdon with a prosthetic, going skiing.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, if this guy can do this, what am I doing? I can do this. This is sick. Like, this, I want to be like my dad.
What an inspiring fella.
Oh my, completely. And that's what pulled me out of it a little bit. And then the next turning point for me was actually recently. So I've always been bimbling through ever since then. This was a few years ago now.
High five, sister.
Yeah, you know how it is. And another thing that I noticed about myself was that when I was like a teenager to even last year, I had like a school boyfriend. I was
going to get onto
a boyfriend after that.
This is fascinating.
It was a little transition
close to going into there, yeah.
And I found that when I had boyfriends, I was relying on them for my happiness. They I'd go to their house. There's nothing wrong with my house, but I'd just like be a part of their family life. Like I felt sad, pissed off if they were out with their mates. I wasn't like a psycho or anything. Like go do what you want, but I was like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I wish I was with them.
It's hurting me. I'm not maybe gonna express that, but it is hurting.
I became dedicated to them. My sole purpose in life was having my boyfriend and serving my boyfriend.
Right.
And it wasn't until I split up with my ex a year ago, just because he was great. I loved him. He did nothing wrong. However, we were very much going down the path of when I finish uni and he finishes his apprenticeship, we're going to get a house, then we'll get married, then we'll have kids. And I was just like, oh my God, no. No, I can't.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I don't want to look back on my life and think I've just gone down that route.
The norm.
And not lived. Exactly. And it freaked me out a little bit.
I did the exact same route. I mean, let's have a look here. I've got it on my chest somewhere. There we go. First girlfriend I ever had. And, you know, I was addicted to love.
Yeah.
And because I'd not been showcased it or shown it in many places in my life, as soon as somebody gave me that, it was like the Buddhist analogy. When you see flowers, you walk by them and appreciate them. Yeah. But people with toxic mentalities and attitudes to love want to pick them, and that's mine. I've got it. Nobody else can have it. Yeah. You attract that too. If you be the change you want to see, if you are a person that has a toxic mentality to love, often it's somebody else that reciprocates that and mirrors it. So also just wants you. Yeah. And two of those together,
you become very infatuated.
Ooh, it's a danger
forced to
game.
Be reckoned with.
And there's a lot of problems that emerge with that, and your psycho. I was going to say psychedelic. Your philosophies and your. What's the psyche? What's your word
like
for that?
Psychological.
Yeah, thank you, girl.
I was going to say it, and then I was like, I could be completely wrong and make a tit out of myself here.
Your psychology starts to deteriorate when you're going through it. And we definitely encountered that later on, 2 years in, after being together every day, spending every living moment together. I had that epiphany where I thought, oh, is this what life is? Yeah. Is this it? Yeah. But because I didn't want to end it, I didn't know how to get rid of that love because I spent so much time in it.
Will I ever get it again? Will anyone ever love me?
Completely agree. So me being me, that was my moment of sending me travelling because I didn't know another way out. Exactly. So I even said to her, like, we'll stay together. We're still that, but I'm just going to go over here for a bit and see how it goes. I was going to go to the
other side of the world. I'll see you later,
Australia was the first point of call, and I just couldn't deal with it. And that continued to happen and occur though until I broke that cycle, and in fact it was somebody choosing not to be with me because it was always me getting uncomfortable and then going travelling,
freaking out. I'll see you later.
Don't know how to deal with his emotions. But as soon as I'd met somebody in South Africa and we came back to live together here because we were both quite toxic, but then she had that epiphany first and went, no, I need out.
She did the reverse Uno card on her flip the switch.
Here you go, have another one of these on you. And it really, that was my learning. That was me going, oh, I've never been dealt this hand before. So I had to...
You didn't have a choice in it. That was just put on you.
Spoke about that before, and how I've dealt with death of a family member or death of a friend before. It's kind of felt, you know, I understand it.
Yeah, you
there's
knew
no
it was
choice
coming,
in this. It was there. Even if I hadn't known it was coming, there was an end to that process, and you sort of get to grieve and finalise it. But when you know somebody's still out there and they've chosen they don't want you,
and they're living their life without you there,
exactly.
You're like, oh, are they happier now?
Very you involved and all that to deal with.
It's like a piece of you is with them. Living somewhere, and you're like, okay, I don't like this.
Completely. And I would definitely say my biggest phase in life, my most learning was from a breakup. Yeah. And that particular person I'm on about, that breakup has shaped everything since. Yeah. And I've grown quite resistant and resilient to all pain that comes my way. It seems to just flick off a little bit now. Yeah, and I've got approaches to deal with it. With your dad, he was such a strong figure, but then he's been bedbound and put in here. The reverse swap for you there, and you had to take care. Was that really quite an alien experience for you?
It was so weird because I've never had to look after my dad or look
And
out
we will get
for
back
my dad.
into love. That was something I always I wanted to
that's
bring
fine,
back
yeah.
up.
Yeah, it was weird because, like I said earlier, my dad was always the strong one. My dad was like invincible. It was my mum that was poorly, and I was used to that because I never knew any different. But that completely changed my world. It made me like question everything because my whole life, this one person's always been there, and then suddenly, within a matter of seconds, like that,
How fast it can
he's
be taken.
bedbound, completely different life situation, and it did make me question a lot of things. But my dad never put me in a position where I had to take care of him. Never, not once. I remember when he came.
Strong character.
I know when he came out of hospital. They said to him, right, you've got a wheelchair. This is how you're getting around in your wheelchair. And he was like, can I have crutches? No, because if you're on crutches and you fall on your stump, which is where his leg was amputated, if you fall on your stump like that, it'll need to get amputated even higher. You're going to damage it. You need to protect your stump so then you can have your rehab, eventually get your prosthetic.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want a wheelchair. And he didn't want us to be pushing him around in a wheelchair. So the minute that he got home from hospital, he got his mate's old crutches. After he was told exactly not to get crutches, and he got on crutches.
Yeah.
And he was getting about.
Dude.
He was laying flooring in the dining room with one leg sat on the floor doing it, putting laminate flooring down. So he never exactly put us in the position of doing that. If anything, my dad being in that position inspired me and motivated me. What's my excuse?
It makes me think in your story that you could have in your life gone down the my mum was never there, I lost my mum patch, and been a bit woe is me, what a bad existence I've had.
I was like that when I was younger, yeah.
But you seem to have got to this stage of how lucky am I really that I've had this incredible other figure in my life that's been there, been a rock, and shown me amazing ways of being as well, and how strong and tenacious you can be. And I suppose that's what I'm finding from you now, and it emanates across that you're such a strong character, and that seems to be where you steer towards.
It's just all about perspective. It's how you choose to see things. I went through that stage.
It's powerful.
Exactly. I went through that stage in my life. Oh my God, I love my mum so much. I've lost my mum. My mum's dead. Everyone feels sorry for me. I'm jealous of your family life. Oh, you're sad. Well, at least that's not happened to you. What's happened to me? Blah, blah, blah. I did very much get in that mindset. I was a dick. I was a little dickhead. That's it. Like, my dad will agree. Everyone around will agree. I was a dickhead. It's just how I was.
Yeah.
And I'm not like saying you can't feel those emotions, because you can. But it's just like in retrospect when you look back, I'm like, oh God. And I chose to be that way. But then with my dad, I started slipping down that route. But then I pulled myself up, straightened myself up. I looked at him, I changed my perspective. And since then, like, I have my dark times, I have my dark days. And I will get on to love in a minute.
Yeah.
Because I think I compensated a lot through relationships and things like that. But once I changed my perspective, I felt different. My world was different. And I used my dad as, like, a tool.
Yeah.
To heal, if that makes sense.
That's a fantastic.
It made me feel
analogy,
lucky. Yeah, this is shit that it's happened to my dad. It's horrible. I don't want my dad to only have one leg, but he's living his life and he's using it. He's going rock climbing.
Yeah.
He's using it to empower himself. I can do that too. It's happening right in front of me. I can adapt to that as well.
And it's how you see life, and it's
exactly.
If you think of it as this is all we've got, this is a short experience. Then do try and steer it towards the best imaginable reality you can create. And that is entirely what you've done. And if you look at me with just something that's trivial like the dyslexia, and I've gone, no, it's not this, it's that.
Yeah, you've used it as I've got the power to see the world in a different way.
And to have gone through everything you've been through and experienced the journey you have, but go, okay, this is my set of circumstances. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to make my life thrive from this experience? And either mistakes in the past, hurt in the past, whatever it is, I'm going to let that shape the best version of me. What an attitude. Genuinely, like, what a cool attitude that is.
I still suffer
Incredible.
from, like, anxiety and overthinking. And I've been told in the past I somewhat have OCD in terms of, like, compulsive thoughts. So an example of that is I'm driving, I'll hit a pothole, and I'm like, I've hit a cat, I've killed a cat on the road.
Oh, dude.
And I'm like, I know it's a pothole. No, don't be stupid. That's a pothole. No, it's a cat. and I've had to turn my car back around.
Imagine if it is a cat, though.
I've had to turn my car back around, get out of my car. Look, yeah, that is a pothole.
Yeah.
And then, but I've clarified it for myself, and I think they're things that have happened because of the experiences that I've had. But like you said, with your dyslexia and other things that you've gone through, you use it as your tool. I see the world different. I'm just a bit different to everyone else, and it does get you down some days. But like when I said about mindfulness and things like that, like using tools and coping mechanisms like that help you get through those things. And I don't resent the fact that I get anxious or the fact that I overthink, like, oh, are they looking at me? Oh my God, they're looking at me. Because it's just a part of who I am.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said about perspective, when you choose to see it in that way, it changes your whole mindset. Everything flips. And you don't let it be something that gets you down as such.
Mate, I really valued that. And let's dive into that then, the love side of things. Because then you've had all these coping mechanisms and ways of dealing with your mental health and your psyche. Then you get into love and you're discovering something new. Yeah. And it starts to become toxic. What are you experiencing at that point then? And what are your coping mechanisms for it?
So I've had like 2 serious relationships, I'd say. One when I was like 16, 17 at school, and I'm mates with him now, to be honest. And then one when I was 18 and ended a year ago. So that was like nearly a 2-year relationship. And I did find that with my relationships, I threw myself into them. Within a matter of weeks of meeting them, we were together. Everything was with them. I'd be out with my friends and it'd be like, oh, when's this ending? So I can go back and spend time with them. And that's very toxic, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Completely toxic. And yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this. So I'm just outlining it to you.
I like the outlining. And well, when you realised it was becoming toxic, and when you realised it was unhealthy to have this obsession with somebody,
it was what other people were saying. Do you not think you're spending a bit too much time with them?
And how did that reflect in you?
It made me angry.
Really?
So like I'd have friends that go, oh my God, you're with I nearly name dropped him then, and I really don't want to do that.
You're with this geezer far too much.
You're with him all the time, like you never want to do anything with us, like boyfriends come and go, friends are forever. And I was like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? Like this is my relationship, you don't understand it. I think that's because I was younger as well. You get very defensive, and I used to get very protective of it. And then the turning point for me with my last relationship was the one what I was on about, where it was only going to head towards like marriage, kids, all that sort of thing. It freaked me out. I went away for the weekend with my friend Maddie, and I'd been with my boyfriend every weekend, week in, week out for like 2 years. And this was like the first time I'd been away from him. And we went to Butlins. It was like a Butlins weekender thing with her mum and all of mum's mates.
Nice.
And I didn't want to go.
Really okie dokie.
Yeah, honestly. I was like, I don't want to go. And he was like, well, why don't you want to go? And I was like, I don't know, because I'd been with him all the time. And then I had that weekend away from him. And like nothing happened or anything like that. I didn't cheat, but I just had time away from him, and I saw how my life could be. Getting up when I wanted, opening a bev at 10 a.m. with my mates, laughing, joking, having a sick time. And I was like, why have I always pushed this away? What for? Why would I rather have a lazy morning in bed on a Sunday than be having a mint time with my friends? And everything has just flipped this switch in me, and I was like, fuck, I'm questioning everything now, because I distanced myself from it. I think that was the thing. I threw myself into everything, didn't let myself see anything from a different light, didn't separate myself from that person. And then the moment that I did, that was when it switched, and I was like, right, okay. And I got back from the mighty Butlins, and I didn't see him for a week after I got back. Right. I just didn't want to see him. I didn't want to face him, because I was like, we've been together like 2 years, and I don't want this anymore. But I was like, or am I just saying that because I've had a good weekend? What do I want in the long run? I was questioning everything about my life. And then it was Valentine's Day, and we went out for a meal on Valentine's Day. And
my God.
I couldn't look at him.
I think I know where this is going.
We were sat across, you know how we are right now, and I couldn't make eye contact with him. I was like, and he was like, what's wrong? And I was just like word vomit. I was like, bleh.
Oh, you let it all out over him. How you felt?
This is how I feel. And he was like, right. And we went back to his complete silence. There wasn't even an argument. No. He was just like, you know what, I could tell that you weren't being yourself. He was like, what happened while you were away? Is there something to tell me? Which you can understand. I go away for a weekend with my friends. I get back, I'm acting weird. I don't want to be with you anymore. Yeah, like quite rightly so, to be honest. And I was just like, honestly, I don't know what it is. I'm just getting freaked out. I just don't want this. I can't have this. And then we split up. And then I was fine, living my best life, out. And then this lockdown happened. And I think, in a way, that was probably the best thing for me. Because in that relationship with him, I'd gained a lot of weight. And I was just used to seeing just him. I'd never had any alone time. Or when we split up, like in the month that I had single, I was with my mates all the time. I had some serious one-on-one time on my own during this lockdown. And I'm actually very thankful for that. I've learned to be okay in my own company.
I think that has got to a beautiful point with the podcast, though, and where you get to, and it is a cliche saying, but how can you love anybody else before you love yourself? Sort of attitude. And the road you'd been on has built you up a strong character, but then love's one of our biggest emotions. And love left repressed turns to possessiveness.
Exactly, that was it.
And seeing that occur with you two and the ugly characteristics showing, it's gone, no, there's still a learning process that you need to go through and access. And you've got to that side of it. And now you've gone, no, it's all inside job again, inside job. There's more to this puzzle. There's more to the jigsaw to be added. And you had that time, and I really do believe in it. It's you've got to be comfortable in yourself. You've got to be able to have passions, your own, enjoyments, friends, everything of that.
I wasn't my own I was his girlfriend. We'd go out, it was with his friends.
Built everything together.
Yeah, like, and I wasn't me. Like, I'd gained so much weight. Like, I'd got to, like, not that I've got anything against people that got weight on them or anything like that, but for me, like, I have like limits of how I let myself get. I got to like 14.5 stone when I was with him, and then when I was like away from him,
Fridays,
because I had no one to impress.
I get you.
And then I looked at myself when I was single, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, who is this? Who is this person? This isn't me. Who have I become? And I'm not someone that's just someone's girlfriend. I think I was seeking what I never had from my parents. I never had a stable togetherness family setting, and I think that's what I was trying to like give myself.
I mean, I'm 28 and I'm in the first healthy relationship I've ever had.
Amazing. And at least you're there.
It's fantastic. It's taken some time to get to this point, I tell you.
I've got 8 more years then, probably, so I'm on that level.
We're great, and you know, we don't live conventionally. We have introduced cool things in our relationship that work for us, but my idea for a relationship to work is not 2 halves make a whole, but it's 2 wholes make an incredible force together. That was my epiphany sort of thing.
I was relying on somebody else for my happiness, and I seen this quote. I think it was actually Cher that said it, or something that I seen on Instagram.
Who?
Cher, you know, the singer.
My sister, my partner's favourite singer of all time is Cher. So yeah,
get her in it. Get her to join the podcast.
She loves it,
and I think it was, and she was just like, yeah, like, you can't be happy in a relationship until you're happy on your own. It's not about relying on somebody else for your happiness. It's 2 people happy on their own, then sharing that happiness. That's how you share.
Of course she did.
So she was just marketing herself.
Plug herself. Good old Cher. I wonder what Tupac was on about.
Honestly,
you shouldn't have 1 beer. You should always have 2, and then you got 2 packs.
There you go. Oh my god! But yeah, I seen things like that, and then it all just bubbled up, and then I got that mindset. Was on my own through the lockdown. Found coping mechanisms, because over Christmas as well. I'm in Nottingham for uni. And I'm working in Nottingham as well. So over Christmas, all my housemates went home. But I still had shifts at work. So I just stayed in the house in Nottingham. I was on my own for about a month. And after that relationship, I was like, yeah, I want to be on my own. But I was still like talking to people, having a flirt, all that sort of thing. I still wasn't truly on my own until over Christmas. And I had this time on my own. We're in a lockdown again. And that's like, these last couple of months have been the absolute best of my life.
So
I loved being on my own.
What sort of learnings, lessons, passions, discoveries?
Like you said earlier about the mindfulness, not looking into it properly until you had that podcast. I was a little bit like that. James Smith, that personal trainer I was telling you about, released another book. He had a first book, Not a Diet Coach, which is all about diet and all that sort of thing. And he's released another one called Not a Life Coach. mindset, all that sort of thing. And I was reading that, my big brother got it me for Christmas, and he was on about like mindfulness and meditation, and he's got a friend called Lucy Lord. I think you should drop her a follow on Instagram, actually.
I'll give her a look.
She's really like insightful, positive energy, like just good vibes from her.
That's all I want my feed full of at
Yeah,
the minute.
and she did like this part of the book where she did a little essay about anxiety, mindfulness and meditation, because it was coming from someone that I wanted to hear it from and look up to. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this, and I did it, and I was like, whoa. And I used to, like, when it came to working out and time to myself and things like that, I'd always put it off. Now I'm not doing it. Now I want to get up in the morning, I want to meditate for 10 minutes, just lay on my bed, not like sit there like but just lay on my bed, shut everything out. If I'm feeling stressed, I want to just take a walk, just think about what I'm doing, think about the steps that I'm taking, the birds in the sky, just knock everything else out of my head, and I just feel so calm.
I was going to say,
peaceful.
Have you noticed your life radically change?
Oh my God. So say if
mission?
I'd have done this podcast a couple of months ago, I'd have been a bit like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. Like, how am I going to look on the camera? This, that and the other. And I know that I was when I was talking about my mum earlier, my voice was a little shaky because it was a difficult subject.
Of course.
But I've come today and I had no anxieties. I was like, yeah, come on, let's do this. And I've never been that person.
You can really tell it in people when they've been on a journey or on a journey, and how you voice yourself, put yourself across, it buzzes, and it feels to me, and you make me feel comfortable then.
That's amazing.
And you make me want to do better in whatever that is and just feel good.
Yeah.
And I think it's so strong that we're all doing that together, we're all buzzing in our little ways. And how you said before about not wanting to be the miserable kid, or not wanting to be that negative energy. Now, I see myself as quite a strong character. I can be around people that are down or feeling uncomfortable and still be in my own happy circle, in my own happy self, but also be there for them. So I'm not thinking, oh, they're a drain, but oh, I can help this person.
Yeah, that's how I'm starting to see things.
There's a balance in life. I want fountains and drains all together, but I don't try and just repel every drain or every person struggling. I go, no, I am fully inside happy or doing my right thing. I feel fit, I feel energised. I bought a bloody treadmill at the minute, and I watch documentaries all day with my little baby papoosed onto me. When she's crying, I did a 2-hour walk by accident yesterday, and I was just walked because she was crying a lot, so I put her in there, and she's in the fetal position and just like a little monkey, cozied up, and we walk, and I'm watching documentaries, things I like, knowing afterwards I'm going to eat something healthy, make myself feel good.
It's just
go upstairs with my partner, play Assassin's Creed, all the good stuff and elements in my life. But I've learnt this on the way after doing so many wrongs and so many mistakes.
Exactly.
And feeling bad. So, you know,
makes you really appreciate it more.
We truly do. And to say, like, all this conversation, we spoke of mental health, we spoke of the dark and all that. I'm also wise to think, you know, painful things are coming. There's a lot more learning to be done.
You're naive if you think, right, I'm in this happy place now, it's always going to be
like
this.
This is
anything
me.
Could happen.
This is how it is. But between us, I feel we've built up stabilities and we've built up knowledge on coping. So when the pain does come, we're just stronger towards it.
Yeah, I'm genuinely happy, and I'm also like aware, like you said, it might not always be this way. Shit will happen. I mean, we're in a national lockdown.
Yeah.
Like through the UK, whatever.
I mean, what is one of them before? We had no idea what it would be. So
this is a really dark time for some people at the minute. I may be thriving in it, but other people are struggling. People are dying. People are losing loved ones. Like, there's both ends of the spectrum on it, and it's so important to recognise that. But I know that not long after my dad had his accident and I got myself to that happy place, and I was like, I'm buzzing about life. Like, I was going out with my boyfriend at the time. I thought, life's sick. I always wanted to be. I was scared of death. I got to a point where I was terrified of death. I didn't want to get in my car and drive to uni.
That I went through. Do you know, as a kid,
I was like, what if I get hit by? What if I die?
When you go through that thought, and I think everyone does this, is, do we all see the same colours? But I had this thought that, can I have a thought last and it not go. See how long I can hold a thought for.
I've done that.
It's like, I always play the game and then I think, oh no, I'm going to stuck with this forever.
Yeah.
But death, after my psychosis, schizophrenia,
Yeah, I
and all my
remember you
real
saying,
bad
yeah.
days, that was one I woke up thinking about, I went to sleep thinking about, and in between
over your life.
I was so lucky if it wasn't there. But I remember it's a true phobia, isn't it? There's something there.
It stopped me doing things. I don't want to
Yeah.
get in my car and drive. Because
Yeah.
I remember
The unknown.
one day I was driving to my big sister's in Swadlincote, so from Belper to Swadlincote, like down the A38.
Yeah.
And I was on the A38 and I was like, I don't want to die.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to die. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to die if I travel there today. Like, I don't know if I sound mental, whatever, but I was like, I feel like something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if I keep going, I'm going to die. And I can't. And I had to turn around and go back home. Because I felt so uncomfortable travelling down the A38.
Yeah.
Because I had a gut feeling that I was going to die. When you look at that now, it's like,
Yeah.
what? But I can't look at myself in those positions and think, what an idiot. Because that's how I feel. Like, you have to appreciate your feelings. You felt it for a reason. And that's all a part of growth.
Yeah, yeah.
It leads you to be where you are now.
You know you don't want to feel that.
Yeah,
So what
exactly.
journey are you going to go on to get out of
Use
that?
your mechanisms, use your mindfulness, your meditation, your
Find what works
whatever.
for you.
Exactly.
Find what works for you. People listening to this, I think there's going to be a lot that gain a value in just hearing somebody that's been through what would be seen as a treacherous, horrendous past, but growing out of pain.
Even like what we just experienced then, when I was I used to be scared of dying, and you were like, dude, me too. Like,
Yeah,
if someone
we
could just
connect on that.
listen
Yeah.
and think, oh my God, they feel like that
Yeah.
too. It's not just me. I'm not trying to preach that I've been through all this and now look at me. Like, I'm
I've got
not
to admit,
about
some,
that.
some films, and they're quite, it's a weird thinking of this, but they saved me. And they're a bit scary films. So,
List them.
Truman Show.
Oh my God, changes everything.
And Shutter Island.
I've never seen
Dude,
Shutter
go home
Island.
tonight. Actually, I've got a few film homeworks tonight.
You got to send them me.
Pleasantville, Bicentennial Man. We've been watching
literally
some
seen
good
none of
films. Oh,
these.
they're really good. And from our conversation, I've been listening like,
Yeah.
that's in that film. That's over there. But I was trapped in this psychosis and severe paranoia.
Yeah.
A lot of self-induced, as I discussed, psychedelics, marijuana,
Yeah, but
things that weren't.
Can't help how you feel.
And again, I needed them in a certain phase of my life to see what they were about.
Yeah.
And it got me to where I am now.
Exactly.
I don't regret it, but I did hit some branches.
Yeah.
But then when I hit psychosis and paranoia, and severe paranoia, I thought my nan, who raised me and loved me and was always there for me, thought she was trying to poison me and kill me off. And then
Jesus
all my
Christ.
friends, and it's all just egocentric.
Yeah.
It's all thinking everyone's out to either get you or help you. There's pro and paranoia, but it's all about
Exactly.
self. So I'd gone on this journey, and then one day, on my own accord, I just put Shutter Island. I never even heard of it. I thought,
that looks alright, yeah.
spooky, whatever.
Yeah.
I was sat there all the way through that.
Was this film made for me?
This is me. This is,
Yeah.
and then I'm in my head going, I don't know the director. How does he know my life? How has he
Yeah.
documented me?
Jesus
me,
Christ.
me.
That's so
And-
inspiring,
And
though.
I was piecing it all together. So then I look on this Reddit page, and Reddit's done a lot of saving for me.
Yeah.
And somebody goes, if you like that, try Truman Show.
And that's it, you're on
So
this
I go
journey.
on Truman Show, and I think, this seems like something that's been experienced by people before. They've managed to really well document it and turn into entertainment.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a route out of this, because the
Exactly.
characters find routes out of it. Not that I need a lobotomy, but I just mean that it's been experienced, and sharing common unity, common grounds,
Makes you
and common
feel not
experience.
alone.
You're not alone.
That's it.
The scariest place to ever be in is when you just think, I'm the only one that's ever been through this.
I was just about to say that. The scariest place to be is in your own head.
Yeah, I'm the only one that knows this.
Yeah.
And then you think of how vast the world is,
Yeah.
how long people have
You
existed.
start having like existential crises as well in the same breath. You're like, what does all this
you think,
mean?
You know what? This sounds like it's been explored. I'm going to travel that. And it does help sometimes to label
Completely.
things before you get hippie conversations with friends. And I don't know if I like making the word hippie derogatory, but you know what I
It's
mean
just
when
an
I say
easy
it.
way
It's
to
an easy
label
way of
it.
going for it.
Yeah.
And we have these conversations, where, oh, no labels, man,
Yeah.
don't label. But, you know, sometimes it gives you structure and it helps you to start to diagnose and go on your own journey.
Completely. It's like through doing this, I'm not saying like, I've been through all this, everyone look at me, look at how far I've come. But the aim of it, like those films maybe as well, is I've been through this, maybe you can relate.
Yeah.
Like, let me know, we can have a chat, you're not on your own.
And that's basically why I started the podcast. And I must admit, it's gone on a lot of avenues I didn't expect, met people I never thought I'd meet.
Yeah.
Beautiful things, and it's been musical and adventurous and cool.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always wanted from the start was that quote we love, be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
There's a mini Mikey out there that felt the way I felt. I just wanted to speak to him.
Be the person who you needed when
and
you were
just
younger.
say, listen, mate, mental health's powerful, and if you don't turn it into yours and you let it control you, it can be dangerous.
Is that what you'd say to yourself then? If you had to have a meeting with yourself when you were a kid?
Mini Mikey. Oi, put that sausage roll down, son.
What would you say?
I think...
Like a profound thing. Because in a way it's difficult because, yeah, you've been through the shit, but you can't regret it because it's got you to be where you are now.
What you just said then is pretty much what I'd say. I'd go, listen, mate, you're going to go through the world making lots of mistakes. Remember this, you don't have enough time to make all the mistakes.
Yeah.
So learn through other people's mistakes.
Exactly.
In my big speech, it turned off. Go through other people's mistakes, listen to people, see what values to you, but also don't be scared to make your own. The best part of life is making mistakes and growing from them.
Yeah.
And growing up and maturing and finding what you want. Build a nice moral compass up.
Yeah.
But that's what I'd do. And that's what I thought
just
the podcast...
prepare yourself for this shit.
It's what I thought the podcast was always going to be. And I love the avenues of it, which it all explored. But meeting people like you and speaking of those truths and mental truths is what really reflects in me and makes me feel, I feel powerful in this.
You've got such a good purpose with this. Like, I respect it so much.
Thank you
it
so
is
much.
So cool.
We'll get into... I know we've got lives to live and things to do. We've been doing this nearly an hour and a half, you know. You were going, how long are we going to do it for? Do you think maybe 10 minutes? I don't think I've got much to say. You got a lot to say,
I know, when you messaged me on Instagram, are you interested in doing a podcast? I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I've got a lot to say.
You definitely have. And I love watching these back editing them. So if not anyone out there, maybe my nan's listening or mini us, but I'll be watching back, Cait. And A up us.
I'll just be getting the views up every day.
But, can we go in your job a little bit?
Yeah.
What you want to be doing, and you're at uni at the minute.
Yeah. So,
tell me about that. Yeah.
I'm at the University of Nottingham.
Nice
it's not
one to
all
be
it
at.
sounds, but I love knots. And I'm studying, it sounds a lot more complex than what it is. I'm doing international media and communications. And I'm in my last year. So in May, I'll be done. That's
May.
3 years over.
Yay for May.
Yeah, I know. And I'm looking at marketing.
Right.
Sales, social media marketing. Down that avenue, graphic design maybe.
Has anything that we've spoke about in the whole podcast, why you've gone into this, of what job you've gone into, what education you've gone, or have you just found something that hit you?
When I was at school, in like year 9 English, they introduce elements of media. We're going to make a film, we're going to do this, and I did it and I absolutely thrived at it and I loved it and I was like, I'm buzzing for this is sick. I want to do it for my GCSE. So then I took GCSE media, and this was when I was at Anthony Gel, and I got on with my teachers so well. They were absolutely, they understood me, they got me, and I thrived, and I was never the cleverest person in the classroom, but in media, I felt like that person, and I appreciated it so much. It was nice to get that appreciation, because I was always ignored in like maths and science and things like that. It was like, yeah, you're doing all right, you're not shit, but you're not dead good. You're just in the middle. So we'll just leave you be. Like, it's fine.
Go and get your C. See what it does for you.
Exactly. Whereas media, like, I can't explain it. When I was doing media, so for the project for GCSE Media Year 10, we had to do a CD cover. And I was like...
With the same person.
I know. And I got like this excitement. Like, my heart was like, dum, dum, dum. I had all these ideas floating. Dot cotton. And I just had all these ideas come into my head, and I was excited and I was buzzing, and I was like, oh my god, this feels amazing. It's how I felt about this podcast. And I did it, and I put all my energy into it, and I got an A star. And I spoke to one of my friends that he was like 5-6 years older than me, did music in Belper, because I was part of like Belper music scene. That's such a big scene to be a part of. Amazing, you know, the drop in and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sick. Like, they helped me out so much. I did my work experience there. Fantastic. Actually, so good.
Who was that? Tom
Stone
at the time. Yeah.
If he watches this, how you doing?
My boy.
Yeah. So I spoke to one of my friends from there, like took some cool pictures of him, like made the album all focused on him.
Nice.
I don't know if he'll want to be named. I'm name dropping him. Toby Ingram.
Yeah, I'm friends with Toby.
Yeah.
I could suspect that he'd listen to this podcast and gain a lot out of it.
Well, there we go. He's got to watch it all the way through to find out when his name dropped. And he really helped me. And as I was like taking all these pictures, edited them, I did so well. I got an A star, and I was like, fuck, this feels good. I like how this feels.
Yeah.
I'm proud. This is a piece of work that I'm proud that I've created. And I just kept getting that.
Yeah.
And then we had to make like a music video at A-level. I made a music video. I was editing it.
Yeah.
And I was like making a website for it.
What were you editing on?
It was literally iMovie.
That's sound. It does the
good.
job.
It works.
Yeah.
On my like 10-year-old MacBook, it did the trick. And I got another A star. And like my hard work was paying off.
Nice.
And it felt so rewarding.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm loving this. And you know when... I don't know if I want to sound mental. You know when you're using like your creative side of your brain, like the happiness you get from it, like you really feel like you're working, like the juices are flowing. And I was just getting that feeling, and I was like, I want to do this. Like, this is what I want to do. And then I looked into like graphic design, marketing, and realised that I could do it for a job. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So then I looked at marketing degrees. But then I thought, I don't want to restrict myself to just marketing, because it's a very narrow field. What if my mind changes? And then I looked into doing like hands-on camera media, but then I'd need to get the equipment. Couldn't necessarily afford the equipment.
Yeah.
But I was also very good at the essay writing in media, looking at the theories, applying the theories.
Okay.
Like there's theories like uses and gratifications theory. Why do consumers buy into this TV show? How do they market it? Because it suits these needs. We've got like a hierarchy of needs. We've got basic needs, then we've got like more complex needs, like sexual needs. When you've got a sex scene in a TV show, it's appealing to them. That's why you enjoy it. And I was like, this is like the psychology behind it. I was like, this is fucking sick. So then I found my degree at Nottingham International Media, which is more theoretical media than hands-on. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
And doing it, has it fulfilled its potential and what it is?
Well,
or you've hit snags and found bits
very much so.
Yeah.
Like, I've done modules that I've not been interested in. So I've done like political modules, and I'm just not into it. Like, politics brings me down. I know that's very naive. Like, I've got like women fought for the right to vote. Like, I vote, and I'm a part of it where I need to be, but I don't want to be studying politics over the years. Like, I want to be doing what I want to be doing. And then we'll do things about like working class culture and representation in the media and all that sort of thing. And I prepared an essay once on how disabled people are represented in TV shows, and did an essay on that, and that got me going again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like there's been like what is it? Like, is it the troughs and what
Peaks
they call
and troughs?
Peaks and troughs. That's
yeah.
it. In it. So it's like the shit bits have been made up
Yeah.
for with the things that I've done really well in.
I definitely, and it's the thing with university, and I suppose sometimes, because I never went, how I speak about it might seem really biased and one-sided, and you don't need uni, and what's the point of uni?
No, but I do agree.
Somewhat, but I think I'm balanced in this too. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think learning's great.
Yeah.
But when people are doing modules they don't want to do,
I'm paying £9,000.
going down different paths they don't really want to explore, and then they're told, yeah, but it's important to do that. There's not often a strong held point of why.
Yeah.
And I love always asking the why. And why is it important to do things I don't want to do? Because for me, I did film on my own. So I got into poetry through a story that I always tell, so I'll leave it out. But
it's great though.
Found poetry through pain and losing a friend, and never expected it because I stuck well away from writing.
Yeah.
Came home, started performing. In a few months, I was supporting Rizzle Kicks. I supported Russell Brand. I supported the street, or was on stages and met the streets and whatever.
Yeah.
That was incredible. So then that was my skill then, and I wasn't having to analyse ancient poets or do anything I didn't want to do. I just thought, how do I want to work? What works for me?
Exactly, yeah.
later on, I started going into the audio technician side of things and producing, and then I found film.
Yeah.
And honestly, you cannot get me away from the laptop. When I'm stuck into a film, I've just shot a film the other day for the local healers and
Yeah.
got Lucy Siphon. I've worked quite a lot with them, and I'm blessed to have loads of musical projects.
Yeah.
You could not snap me away from Final Cut when I'm stuck in it and I'm trying to learn something. And because I'm learning through desperation and thirst, I want to get this look.
Learning through doing as well, like you said, yeah.
But also wanting.
Yeah.
Because I want it and I know what I need to achieve, I can go on YouTube, I type in, right, I want black and white, but I want to pull out certain colours.
Yeah.
And because it's what I've chosen to learn, I'm in. I'm all there.
It, yeah.
And when you're on a path at school where I didn't do well, because they're telling me what I need to know.
Exactly.
They're forcing it down me and I've got to regurgitate it at some point. It doesn't sit well with me. So I'm not there to say uni's not a good thing. And probably the statistics show that going to uni, if you want money in your life, if you want to make a good career, uni has helped a lot of people.
That's why I've done it.
Yeah, and that paperwork has supplied something for people. But I'm just saying that the attitude that I found from wanting it for myself, not being at uni, and just discovering the things I want, pushed me a bit further on my path than
fully agree
when I
with
was in
you.
education.
I'm with you 110%. The things that I've thrived in, I've taught myself. So I know I was on about GCSEs and A-levels and things like that, but I was taking those pictures, I was editing that film that I made, and I had so much autonomy over it. At uni, you don't have that. The only reason I'm at uni, right? You get it paid for. You pay back for it eventually when you're earning over 25 grand, but that won't really affect your pay scale paying it back. So you get your tuition paid for essentially from the government. You get a maintenance loan. So I get 6 grand given to me per year. That pays my rent. That's fine. That's sorted. 3 years student living, nights out in the week. I'm in my own house at the minute, living with my mates through a pandemic. Like, I'm having a sick time.
Dude.
And then the work's just a part of it.
Yeah.
And I've had times, what am I doing? I hate my degree, it's shit. And I still do sort of feel like that sometimes. The only good thing about this year is my dissertation, because that's on what I want it to be about. I'm doing that on fake news and social media. That's nice. But the only reason I've gone to uni is for that piece of paper. Because my mum always wanted me to go to uni.
Yeah.
I want you to get your cap and gown. Like, I really want to be there and watch you. And it's like, that empowered me.
And again,
But I prefer teaching
it's
myself.
your mindset. You're young, retrospectively, 20s.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got a great mind about you. So it's not don't go to uni or do go to uni, but take from uni the right bits and implement that later on in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, again, I'm somebody that didn't go to uni, and what I've found, I've implemented the right bits.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And that's what it takes. It's
and
being
it's the
conscious.
people I've met. The people I've met,
yeah.
First year, got put in accommodation with this lad called Oscar. He turned up to uni with a rucksack on, and that was it. I opened the door for him. I went, "Who are you?" He went, "I'm living here." I went, "All right, okay." Handed him a beer.
Yeah.
Drank the beer. Best mate straight away. He'd come to uni straight from Australia, travelling. He's British, but his parents moved to Poland when he was 5.
Yeah.
And they lived in France. And then when he got to 17, he was like, "Okay, I want to go travelling."
Oscar, are you watching this?
Yeah,
Do you
I
want to
know.
do a podcast, brother?
Honestly, he'd be sick on
Cool.
this. Went travelling and then turned up straight at uni. And he's incredible. Like, he gives me insight to so many, because he's seen, like we said earlier, so many different cultures and ways of living.
Totally.
And I never would have met him if it wasn't for uni.
Another cliche, travelling broadens the mind.
Exactly.
It just does. It really does.
Yeah.
You can't go somewhere else, see a culture and come back thinking, oh, I'm just going to keep on doing
exactly.
this. It's literally impossible.
It opens your mind.
When Ella's of a certain age, my daughter, I would highly encourage that. I'd definitely suggest that an element of your life, if it's a month, if it's 3 months, if it's 3 years, whatever it is, just go and experience other.
That's what my dad said to me. He says, when I know that you're not living at home, when you're on the other side of the world, when I very, very rarely see you, that's when I know I'm doing my job. Because you've blossomed,
Your
you've
dad,
grown.
I would give him the biggest high five, honestly.
Big up Adam Wood.
Yeah, Adam Wood knows what he's on about.
Yeah, completely. So I don't
What
despise...
would Adam Wood do?
Exactly. What would Cait would do? But no, I don't despise my degree. Like, it's given me good tools, but it's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Caitlin, we've got
Yes.
lives to live. We've got
Yeah.
a baby inside. And I've
Yeah,
got to
we
get
do.
this ready for Chrissy's next podcast.
That's fair.
Made It Podcast. It's on our Patreon if you want to sign up to. But you should do a podcast. I'm just telling you, like, if you want to use this space, if you want me to bring gear to where you want to do it, like my microphones and all that.
Yeah.
Would you do one? I think
Yeah,
you should.
I'd love it.
Think about it. Have an idea what you'd call it, what you want it to be. But I would love to see you go off and mental health base.
I'd love that so
anything
much.
base. You really should.
Honestly, I've always considered it, but it's how.
And would you come back on here?
Yeah, if you want me. I mean, have
mean,
you got another 4 hours of your life to dedicate?
I've got all day long for you.
Do you
I've,
feel like
I've loved it.
Have you been like, oh fuck, we've been talking for so long now, or have you genuinely found it like?
it's what you're talking about there in media.
Yeah.
I've found throughout. I know what drives me. I know what makes me
Yeah.
passionate, and I know what I love. And one thing is meeting people,
Yeah.
connecting, listening, sharing stories.
Yeah.
I used to be a bit naive and even thinking, oh, I'm the answer giver.
Yeah.
Oh God, I got an ego check very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
But it didn't put me or deter me away from wanting to be with people or around people. I just changed my approach
Changed your
with
stance,
them.
yeah.
And really, I just love people.
Yeah.
I love being around.
Yeah,
and,
I'm the same, yeah.
And getting an understanding of what they're about and what they've been through.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's why I did podcasts. I know I love film. I know I love poetry. I love creativity. And
Yeah.
from what you were saying, if I didn't need a wee, I would have gone down a more avenue on the interest of how our brains are
Yeah.
wired now. Does it go, here's a load of trauma and pain,
Yeah.
and our brain goes towards the creative side of itself? Or are creative brains inclined to
Yeah.
having... do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated towards that. And
Yeah.
as I've been listening to your story on Unravel, I thought, dude, there's so many similarities. I wonder if that what we've been through and experiences have created the love for creativity, the love for
Exactly.
people, the love for that. And
Yeah.
it's been a genuine pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
You are my friend.
Yeah, you're my friend. I've enjoyed this so
100%.
much. Yeah.
We'll have you back. I'd love to get you on Chrissy's podcast.
Yeah?
You'd get on so well with my partner. You will meet.
Yeah.
Made It podcast. It's only 20 minutes, but it's a lovely concept. They create something throughout, have a little conversation, and then at the end you've got a cool product to go home with.
That's
Unfortunately, I've
amazing.
not got anything for you other than I think you're
I've
amazing.
had a mint experience. You
Do you want a
too.
bottle? I've got Volvic.
You know what? This black coffee.
Oh no, that's
was
good.
worth it.
Oh, I was going to say
didn't
not the
finish
mug
it.
though. Chrissy can't.
No, the black coffee was worth it all.
But you had
I didn't finish it though.
Right, thank you for being here. I will.
Thank you.
We're going to talk after this and get you your podcast sorted because it needs to happen. I think
Thank
there's
you.
so much more could be dragged out of this.
That's amazing.
Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Caitlin, where can people find you if they want to talk to you? Young people, old people struggling. I can see getting in
Yeah.
touch, but people.
Instagram.
Yeah, what
yeah,
on?
Woody C05. I don't know why I was looking there when the camera was there.
Look into the light. Look into the light.
Yeah, how it is.
Woody C05.
Yeah, Woody C05.
You know where to go, guys. Thank you so much. Remember, just be nice to one another. Very short time here. Let's be good. Caitlin, you've been a pleasure. Thank you so much.